You got to check.
This is to both candidates.
Great.
A significant change with the residency requirement happened during this term. What ultimately do you believe the impact will be, and what will you do to stem the impact of employees being able to move out of the city of Cleveland?
Thank you very much. Mayor Jackson.
Yes. First of all, if I can divert just a second, that I have over 8,500 employees, and they're very good employees. And those mention of corruption at City Hall, there are issues that we have dealt with in cooperation with the FBI and have set a standard on behavior that I think is very clear. But I have good employees, not corrupt employees. But your question again?
About residency.
Residency, that goes straight to the issue of residency. I don't believe it will have an immediate negative impact. I really don't. I do believe the real challenge here is that people actually believed in the system. And they believed that if they voted for something, then what they voted for is what they would have. And what we had was a political decision at the state Supreme Court as opposed to the right legal decision. But the immediate impact, I don't think, will be negative, I think, for a variety of reasons. If I had more time, I would tell you what that is.
Is that to, just briefly to clarify though, does that mean that you won't be doing anything to address that particular problem or that particular concern?
Well, I don't know.
That you don't believe it's a concern?
No, I didn't say that. What I said, the impact of the ruling is not an immediate negative impact. The state Supreme Court has ruled. There's no other course of appeal. And since I'm not into bribing people to stay in the city of Cleveland, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
So we have to work on these things that I believe this debate is about in order to make Cleveland a city of choice.
Mayor, thank you very much for clarifying. Mr. Patmon.
Our city is in a bad place now with this residency. What we have in an example is the Cleveland public school system. 2/3 of the employees live outside the district by choice. If in fact the city of Cleveland suffers that with its employees, we'll have a, you hear a sound, that sound will be Cleveland employees leaving the city. But there is a way out, and that is to improve our city, to make it safer, to make it, as we have been talking about, a city of choice, help repopulate our neighborhoods, give people an opportunity here. But as far as bribery, I'm not bribing anybody either. But at the same time, I think that it's important for Cleveland police officers and the safety forces to live inside the city of Cleveland. Would I have some incentives for them to do that? Absolutely. If I can get a police officer to live inside the city of Cleveland by lowering the interest rate on a house, do that. There are some things you have to do, but it's not bribery. It's a better city if you have police officers inside of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patmon. Our next question.
With all due respect, gentlemen, on your debate here, we have 3 issues that's going to affect the city of Cleveland one way or another. Issues 3, 5, and 6.
Right.
Can you tell us what's your opinion, how that will affect the city of Cleveland as far as outcome on those issues?
Okay.
Thank you very much. Mr. Patmon, you want to start?
Issue 3, I'll start with that. We're gambling to the tune, if you listen to the experts, of $1.7 billion a year. At the same time, we have problem gamblers here in the city and across the state of Ohio. So issue 3 would at least bring those folks back home so that they gamble inside the city, and that would set aside some money, $13 million, in order to deal with problem gamblers. But at the same time, it's not a panacea. It will not solve the problems of the city of Cleveland. It'll be something that we actually can do, and it helps us along the way. We keep our folks here at the taxes and the money to deal with problem gamblers. Issue 5 and 6, poorly crafted in both cases. I'm not out beating the drum for either one. Do we need to reform our county? Absolutely. But as I said, I'm not beating the drum for either one.
Mayor Jackson.
I agree with Mr. Patmon that gaming is not a panacea, but I believe it will be very good for Cleveland because it becomes another tool that we can use to market Cleveland, and it becomes a synergy of activity, not just in the construction side, but in the permanent job side. And when people visit Cleveland, it's just another thing that we add to all those great amenities we have in Cleveland, and particularly downtown, for people to visit and to talk about Cleveland. I'm for issue 5 against issue 6, not because I'm against reform. I actually believe there should be reform. In a nutshell, the issue I have with 6 is that it was not completely inclusive, not meaning because there are many suburban people who feel the same as I do, but it also does not address those relevant issues that we're talking about here today. And just to believe that you can make a structural change and get a different outcome is naive. We should have been talking about what we want to get accomplished and then backing in the structural change to accomplish that, and then I would have supported it.
This was a complicated question. I'd like to follow up on the issue of issues 5 and 6. If Cuyahoga County does go to a county executive form of government, how do you, both of you envision working with that county executive, and what would you push for the county's highest priorities, and what role do you see yourself? And I'd like to give you 30 seconds each. Mr. Patmon, you first.
First of all, the example is the Summit County executive and the mayor of Akron. I would work closely with him to make sure that the impact of what they're doing benefits the city of Cleveland. It's nothing but more than politics of working with people who are in charge. I think the Cleveland remains the center of the region, and you must work with the county executive.
Mayor Jackson?
Well, I would go back to when I've said that ideally they would have identified the issues they're trying to resolve: education, economic development, job creation, access to health care. And I would begin that discussion with them and how we could work in partnership to ensure that we can do that and also reduce the cost of government. You know, collaboration in terms of procurement and other things and redundancy of services are significant issues that really have impacted us, and in these hard times it's burdensome for most governments.
Thank you very much, Mayor Jackson. Our next question from the audience.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Go ahead.
My question is, what green jobs are you trying to develop in Cleveland, and how would you do this during the recession while budgeting the city budget?
Green jobs?
Green jobs. Yeah.
Mayor Jackson?
Well, the green jobs are what are available. What you find is that it's not just the green job per se. It is how industry and businesses run their operation in a sustainable and green way. So what happens is people wind up purchasing goods and services because people want to make the statement that I want to purchase this product or this service because of the way in which it's produced. So that's not necessarily a green job, but it supports our economy. You have other jobs that are associated, particularly in the healthcare and advanced manufacturing. How do we retool our manufacturing facilities in the way that they produce these kinds of things, wind turbines, solar panels, the bearings that go into the motor for the wind turbines. And we already have significant amount of that occurring here. But to make it so that it is part of our overall operation will really help drive an economy and create jobs.
Mr. Patmon?
What I do is that we have a public utilities department, the largest in Ohio, $478 million a year, almost $500 million. We can drive the green job discussion with that. Actually, there's stimulus money in Washington that we should be bringing home. They actually have a solar farm in Toledo, Ohio. They have one out at NASA they're working on. We should be working on those things inside the city of Cleveland while at the same time having a curriculum for the public school system that begins to open our students up to the green economy. There's a LEADS program that needs to be taught in our classes so children are familiar with the jobs and energy for tomorrow, because that is a never-ending stream of development and jobs, and we should start right in our own public school system, right in our own Cleveland city government.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patmon. Another question from the audience. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, my question is for Mr. Frank Jackson. Mr. Jackson, if you were to be re-elected the mayor, what will you do to inspire young people to return to Cleveland after they've graduated from college? My son went away to college in another state, and I had a cousin to go away as well, and neither one returned, and just don't want to return. But we want our children to return back home. What will you do? What could you do to inspire them to come back to Cleveland and be successful here?